everybody, and welcome back to the better Call Sukan podcast with Arif and Carl. Hi everyone, my name is Arif Daniel, your host for today, and of course, I'm not alone. I have my partner here. What's your name, boy?
Hi Arif, I'm Carl of Arif and Carl.
Yeah, boy. All right. Today, Carl, we have a special episode actually, because I'm trying to speak not Malay, because our guest maybe does not understand the Malay language.
Kenapa begitu?
Wait, do you understand the Malay language?
That was a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
Kita orang, basically we've heard their accent, and we know they're not from Malaysia. Even a little bit teaser, we already know that they're not from Malaysia. So just try to say hello.
You can go fast.
Hello.
We haven't really introduced them yet, but I think maybe the audience and the listeners would like, oh, okay, maybe they're from this place or this place, but I think everyone can't
Really
wait
throw it up
already.
in the air.
And I've already been blabbing and yapping around different kind of words. So without further ado, why don't you, Carl, introduce us who is our guest for today?
Alright, so just before we start the episode,
Yes.
it's quite interesting because last season 1, we interviewed Ehsan.
Last season, yes.
Yeah, we interviewed Ehsan.
Okay, so that teaser lah. So Ehsan, it was a kid playing at grassroots level at the UK.
Correct.
Yeah, so Manchester. So he was our guest. So he told us macam mana how the game, how the development of grassroots in the UK.
Yeah. But it's and also he was our youngest at that point of time. At that point of recording, our youngest guest.
He still is.
Today, kind of almost broken the record, but couldn't.
Yes. Almost.
Yeah. And that one was talking about grassroots, playing grassroots football over there. This one we're going to talk about refereeing. Refereeing in the UK.
Pengadil lah.
Pengadil.
Pengadil is referee in Malay. Pengadil.
Pengadil.
It might be a bit different because if you say a different way, it'll be a foot. Bergedil. But it's pengadil. Yeah. But that's okay. Carl, so let's introduce.
Let's show them the card.
Yes. The cards.
Cards, yeah.
Who is our guest for today? We have two guests, right?
We have two guests.
Yes.
All right, all the way from the UK, all the way from London, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Romeo and Alfie Watts from RefPro.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello,
Welcome to the
everybody.
show.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
So we have Romeo
Correct.
and we have Alfie.
Yep.
So basically, you guys are the founder of RefPro, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yes.
Yes. All right. So before we get into like how you become like a referee, how's this we want to know how refereeing is in the UK because you're doing grassroots. Because I think audience and all, we don't know. What we see is like Martin Gray is the one that Martin Gray bukan Martin Gray, apa nama dia?
Martin Atkinson.
Martin Atkinson
Yes.
Siapa
Anthony
lagi?
Taylor.
Anthony Taylor.
Michael Oliver.
All that.
Howard Webb.
Yeah, the legend Howard Webb. Yeah, so we only know them in the Premier League. Yeah. So we don't know. Maybe it's the same as the grassroots or not. So we don't know. Maybe they have like not just red or yellow card, have blue card ke apa. We don't know. Yeah. So before we know about that, we want to know like about you guys. Like how do you guys? Well, usually, what I know is at the young age, you want to be a footballer, not a referee. So what happened, or is it something? Yeah. So maybe we can start from Romeo. You want to start first? Like, how do you started like loving sports? Actually,
Loving sports. I mean, okay, so what happened for you to become a referee? Great question. And I think sports has always been something within my family.
All right.
I can remember playing sports, whether that being tennis, football, swimming, etc.
Okay.
At home, watching sports.
Yeah.
So I also have an older brother who actually is a footballer. He's managed to become a footballer, yes.
Okay.
Which unfortunately
He plays for Arsenal.
He's playing for Arsenal.
Plays for Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I played football up until a year ago or so.
Okay.
Competitively for a team.
Social leagues.
Yes.
Yeah, so like grassroots as well.
Grassroots
as well. I would say I was quite a good footballer.
What position do you play actually?
I played everywhere: centre mid, left wing, right back.
Okay.
Depending on the team, depending whether I was playing for my school.
Where did you play last year, mate? Playing on the bench.
I didn't play last year.
Exactly.
Stopped playing last year.
So so your love towards sports started with football.
I think at home, sport has always been a thing, and football's been the main one.
Okay.
So yeah.
So then, how from there it developed to be a referee?
To be completely honest, I don't know, and I don't have a great answer. What I think was what caused me to become a referee is that my brother refereed one of my games once.
Okay.
And I thought he didn't do a great job. So I saw there was the opportunity to take the refereeing course and take on refereeing myself. And I did. And since then, since 14, I have been refereeing.
Okay. Since 14.
14, yes.
Okay. So it's like 2
and a half years now.
2.5 years since 14 years old. So to the listeners, you already know like how old is Romeo now. Okay. So now, is there any more you want to add how you started living sports?
I think I'll let Alfie
tell
us what happened to him.
All right. Now, Alfie, what about you? Were you in your household also fully sports? Because he said, tennis, swimming?
Tennis, swimming, football.
Other than that, do you have any other sports as well?
Squash.
I play squash and table tennis.
Oh, that's cool.
I was a very good table tennis player for a very long time, but I'm not so much anymore.
Could have seen you in the Olympics.
No, mate.
No.
Not with my forehand.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started, so I was actually quite the opposite of Romeo. I didn't really have a sporting household, but I started kind of enjoying sport probably at the 2010 World Cup. That was probably the first time that I properly got into football, and then my uncle's best friend supported Tottenham in the UK, so then I sadly ended up supporting Tottenham, and I've regretted it ever since.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I know.
I don't feel sorry for him.
All right, continue.
So I've supported Tottenham for a very long time and have not enjoyed a minute of it.
Okay.
But, you know, it's, so yeah, I've kind of, and then since then I've been basically just, my life has been centered around sport, mainly football. I was never really very good, still not particularly great.
As we saw last night.
Yeah, steady on, mate. Score more goals than you.
Then?
And then I got into refereeing as well when I was 14.
Okay.
So I've now been doing it for about 8 years.
Whoa. Okay.
Still not got anywhere.
Been doing referee for a few years, so I see like you guys are experienced, but in your point of view, it's not really that experience yet. But are you guys were mates before becoming referees, or how?
Actually, we became friends through refereeing.
Oh.
Because Alfie, when I was younger, when I was about 12, I remember he used to referee my games.
Okay.
And then when I started refereeing, I reached out to Alfie to ask for some advice.
Okay.
And he
curious, what was the advice? What was that an incident? Where was the
No, I think it was just sort of how to kickstart my refereeing sort of journey.
Okay.
Like what leagues to start refereeing on, where.
So was Alfie the one that influenced you to be a referee?
No.
Alfie just made him a lot better than he would have been without me.
Okay. Before we talk more about RefPro, your organization, maybe the audience out there, they are first-time listeners about, like, they know football in general. They don't know in detail. So actually, do you mind sharing to the audience, like, and the listeners, actually, what does a referee do? Like before, and then during, and then after a certain match. Just
take us through from the start to finish.
Because maybe the listeners here, they're not hardcore football fans. They're just because this podcast is not just about football. It's about all sports.
Yeah.
So they would want to know, like, actually how does a referee works, and then is it the same maybe as a different sport? Because I'm sure it's different with different sports. The referee is different, how the rules and all. So. Yeah, anyone wants to just share? How does a referee...
I think...
And what is a referee actually? Yeah.
So we'll kind of take you through what like a match day would look like, even at what we're doing, which is not good football. Even at our level of football, where you maybe get 10 or 20 people come and watch.
Yeah.
You'd get there about an hour before the game.
Okay.
There's league rules that say that you have to turn up in a tracksuit or in smart wear, so you very rarely turn up in your kit. So you bring your kit to change.
Okay.
You do a pitch inspection to make sure that the goals are the right size, that the corner flags are in place, that the pitch is safe, so that it's not waterlogged, the weather's okay. That will probably take you about 15 minutes. If you've got allocated assistant referees, so the guys with the flag at the side who do offside and ball in and out of play, you need to brief them and give them a full match briefing. You talk to the coaches, you get team sheets, you check that the kits are all in order, you make sure that nobody's wearing dangerous boots, jewelry and things like that. So you do kit and jewelry checks. You check the league rules, because one league might be different from another league. It might be that you can do substitutes come on and off, or it might be that they can only come on once, or that you can only have 5 subs, or that you can have 7 subs. So particularly in England, there's a lot of different rules. If it's a cup game, some games have extra time, some have penalties, some don't have either. So there's a lot to kind of think about on a match day. And then when it comes to the game itself, obviously, your main thing is the safety of the players. That's what we're there for. We're there to make sure that the game is safe.
Okay.
But also making sure that we're enforcing the laws of the game, the rules of football.
Okay. So during the game, and then this is before the game, like you have to check everything. Then after the game, what do you have to do? Yeah.
If you get cards, then you need to...
I mean, it depends on how the game goes. If nothing happened in the game, then you don't really have to do anything apart from shake the players' hands, I guess.
Oh, shit, okay, all right.
But if you've had cards, then you need to put them through the system, which then issues those cards to the players and issues a fine to the players. If there's been a serious incident, then you'll likely have to write a report.
And potentially attend a hearing.
Yeah.
A hearing as well?
Yeah.
Depending on the leagues, or...?
It depends on the severity of the incident.
Okay.
So if there's been, I don't know, maybe say like anything sort of racist, homophobic, we'll always go straight to a hearing. Yeah.
And then I'd say often, regardless of whether you have a sort of coach or it's just other referees that you know, often you have a debrief with them. Maybe you'll call them on the way back from your game, find out how their game went that day, talk about some incidents. Just a good way to sort of express how you think you got on throughout the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so like on a week basis, how many games can you ref on that level of grassroots?
Okay, so basically, there's in the UK. There is football every day. So there's school football during the week. There will be college games, university games. So
midweek games, like midweek league games.
If you're kind of like, if you kind of just referee for the fun, you can probably do 10 games in a week if you tried hard enough, because you could do 2 on Saturday, 1 on Saturday morning, 1 on Saturday afternoon, 1 on Sunday morning, 1 on Sunday afternoon, and then you can probably do 6 throughout the week. So you can, at the level that we're at, we're kind of expected by the FA to manage our bodies.
I'd say like 2, 3, 4 games.
Like you could probably get away with doing 2 at the weekend and 1 in midweek, but what the FA would always want is that you do 1 at the weekend, which they give you, and then
1 midweek.
Yeah. Fair. On that note, how you guys started your referee career? You guys started immediately as the center, linesman, or the fourth official? How did you guys start it first?
You get trained in both.
Yeah. Okay. So in the course, they teach you how to be a referee as well as an assistant referee, which is the linesman. And then you start refereeing at a level which the linesmen are just parents or fans.
Oh, okay.
But then as you sort of get higher, then you start getting appointed referees, appointed assistant referees as well. And often you'll be appointed as that assistant referee for a different referee. So up until a much higher level, you're doing both things every week, essentially.
Okay.
Right.
So in that combination that you did mention about two at the weekends and 1 in midweek, is it being a center or
It'll be very different. So I'm now basically on the FA's list, which means that I'm now I'm basically, the FA appoint me. So up until the point that I've been at, it's been like clubs appoint you, and it's a little bit more informal. Now I'm at the level where the FA appoint me. So the things that I do in the middle are kind of still grassroots games with maybe 100 people there. And then the stuff that I can do midweek as an assistant referee is sort of like Arsenal under-18s, the under-18 Premier League, which is a lot more serious. You get sort of 2,500-3,000 people there. So it's starting to get serious.
Okay. Maybe how we are speaking is like we think everyone knows what is grassroots.
Yes.
Yeah, because we keep saying grassroots because it's football grassroots. So from your point of view, actually, do you mind sharing, maybe you have a different opinion, what is grassroots actually?
Well, I think grassroots is anything that relies on volunteers. So any football club that relies on people volunteering is for me like a grassroots club. I think that's probably not the official definition, because obviously Step 2 and things like that have like...
Yeah.
But I think if the club couldn't survive without volunteers, I think it's probably a grassroots football club.
For me, when someone says grassroots, Sunday League jumps to mind. But then
in my head, grassroots is social leagues and Sunday leagues and all.
Yeah, and so it's another way, I guess, players that don't get paid.
Yeah.
Because in England, from quite a low level, I would say, you can start getting paid for football, but everything that's grassroots, everything that's Sunday League, the players, they turn up. It's as you said, more of a social sort of event. There's still competitiveness, but it's...
But we do had a grassroots coach before this came.
Yes.
He said like grassroots is about developing, right?
No, the referring back to the second episode of season one.
Yes.
Grassroots is non-elite side. This is based in Asia.
Yeah. I think that's probably, it is, so we have 3 tiers. We have amateur, semi-pro and professional. And then professional would be probably classed as elite.
Yeah.
Semi-pro would be kind of like a gap in between. So the semi-pro team's still playing the FA Cup. They play at a very early stage, but they still play in the FA Cup. And then amateur is everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's on our side lah. Okay, another question. In terms of, because in Malaysia and also in some parts of the world, depending on certain like when we talk about games, some people think it's 90 minutes, 70 minutes or whatever. So for your end, what's your definition of like when you referee a game? Is it 90 minutes? Is it 70 minutes? Or how long is a particular game last for you guys?
In England, it depends on the age of the team. So obviously all men's football, which is 18 plus, we call it open age football, is 90 minutes, so 2 halves are 45 minutes. And then as you go down, under 18s, under 16s, 15s, etc., sort of varying from half an hour each half, so 60 minutes. And there's games which are 70 minutes, 80 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to talk about the refereeing in general? Or you want to add anything about refereeing in general, or like in the general spec before we go into...
Probably not generally. Probably cover everything else.
Yeah. So now we want to actually talk about like, because we're better Call Sukan and we're from Malaysia and you're from UK. I'm sure the audience and the listeners like, how in the world did we got you guys to be here? And like, why are you guys sitting in Media Prima? Like, you guys supposed to be refereeing, and you were talking about sports in the UK. And like, yes, the love is the same. We both love football, and I'm sure you didn't have to like, why are you here lah? So basically, why are you here? For what?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're here because we're delivering a football project.
Okay.
Called Football Starts With Hope.
Football Starts With Hope.
Yes.
Is the shit that you are wearing, actually.
Indeed, yes.
Yes.
So, I started this project, probably started trying to put it in place since probably January this year.
Okay.
And the aim has always been to come to Malaysia and deliver football kits, deliver football coaching, deliver refereeing workshops to areas of KL that perhaps don't have the access to it. And it's been something that I've wanted to do for a long time. not necessarily in Malaysia, but I fell in love with Malaysia last year. I came here on a TV show.
Okay.
And met a charity in KL, and we've had various football links in Europe. So we basically teamed up with that charity, and now we're out here delivering the project, and it's really exciting.
Throughout your current time in Malaysia at the point of this recording, so you just squeeze in the time to record this episode, and then after this you go to do referee clinics and then go to pass football kits, is it?
So we're heading to Orang Asli settlements for the rest of the week.
Okay.
So we're going to Jungle Gombak.
Okay.
Bukit Manchong, and there's an orphanage in KL called the Lighthouse.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Which we're also visiting.
And in order to just give the kids, or you have to do a clinic and a workshop as well?
We're going to try do both essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, like a workshop to give all the kids an opportunity to play,
Okay,
as well as donate.
Why besides you came here last year for a TV show? Was that speaking about refereeing as well, or
No, it's travelling.
or it was just traveling?
Yeah, just travelling.
So can you give a brief of like what happened last year?
What made you like, okay, I want to come again, I want to help football?
Well, the football side of it, I've wanted to do for ages.
Okay.
I'm just lucky enough now that I've got the platform to be able to do it, and obviously with RefPro, we've now got the opportunity to do it. And so the football side of it hasn't come from the TV show last year.
Okay.
The idea of doing it in Kuala Lumpur came from the TV show last year.
Okay.
So I came on a UK-based TV show called Race Across the World, and we basically had to race other people without a credit card, without a phone, from Japan to Indonesia.
Okay.
So we came through Kuala Lumpur, me and my best mate, we came through Kuala Lumpur, and we did some work for a charity to get a free ride down to Malacca.
Whoa,
So
okay.
we did some work and then caught a free ride down to Malacca, and yeah, I just knew that at that point that I really wanted to come back to KL. I really wanted to work with the Lost Food Project again. So I got in contact when I got back from the race, and then it's just snowballed from there.
All right. How's the journey so far? Was it tough to be here, actually? To be here?
I mean, it's taken a lot of preparation, a lot of planning, a lot of
late nights.
positive moments, and also moments where we think it's going to be a mess, but we're here. And yesterday we had our official sort of day one, and I think it couldn't have gone better.
It was really, really. It was
Thank you for being here. We're very honored for you to be here. And
Thank you.
also now, we want to ask about RefPro.
Yeah.
Right. So what is RefPro? Because just now you said you're under the FA, and you're not. Yeah, is it? I'm not
So
sure.
I'm registered as a referee in the FA, but the FA don't give me my games.
Okay.
Yet.
So what is RefPro? What is FA? Yeah. And is there more? So what while listening to this, in my head, RefPro is a private organization for refereeing. If any of the social leagues wants to hire a referee, is that? If not under FA,
It's if referees want to kind of
Improve.
And a lot of what we're doing in the UK, everything that we're doing in the UK is very social media based.
Okay.
So we're planning to make this season, basically what we want to do is every time there's a big decision in the Premier League, in the Champions League, we want to essentially make a video about it, explain why the decision was made on social media from a referee's point of view.
Okay.
We also want to talk about, again, kind of just like breaking the barrier between like playing and reffing. We want to kind of show people what we do as referees, like why we still enjoy it and how we are human beings and we'll get things wrong. So a lot of what we're doing in the UK is very social media based. So it's not really we're not really after customers, we're not really after leagues. We're kind of more like a face in the UK.
I see. And is there any other referee organizations in the UK that is doing what you're doing through social media?
Probably not what we're doing on social media.
No.
There's some private organisations that are doing some training, which is originally what we were going to think about doing, but we've completely changed the way that we think about it. We are now aiming to. We basically now want to use what we've learned in the UK.
Okay.
Because without doubt, the best training that you can get as a referee is in the UK, in the world. So we want to use what we've learned from our training in the UK, and we want to provide that same level of training for countries that want to have progressive referees. So we're now going to approach different FAs across the world, and we're going to offer essentially a training package for us to train them to the level that referees are trained in the UK.
Okay. The certain syllabus, is it?
Yes.
My question to you is, so if, just somebody who wants to be a referee, want to understand how to be a referee in the UK, do they go through RefPro?
No.
So they
Through
go
the
to
FA.
FA.
FA, correct.
And then how do they, if they want to be linked up with RefPro, it's like, is it like, do you guys offer people like, oh, we are referee under RefPro, or no?
No, we can't.
No.
The FA own the entire footballing network in the UK. There's no private football organisation in the UK. Everything is owned
Under the FA.
under the FA because they are government. They're state owned, so the government owns the FA.
FA stands for Football
Association.
Association. I see. The one that handles all the Premier League, the Championship.
Yeah, it handles
FA.
everything, all the football in the UK.
Up until the lowest level.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I'm sure there's a lot of tiers, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. There's different, obviously, levels, but the umbrella FA owns football in the UK in its entirety.
Okay. Do you have anything, questions about RefPro?
I think so far, like, it's great because, like, for me, because we've been doing grassroots for quite a while, and also obviously the referees are underappreciated,
Not being highlighted.
not
lah.
being highlighted enough.
Yes.
And one thing when you did mention about social media in Malaysia, there is a Twitter account. Whenever there's a controversial decision in the Malaysian Super League, the Twitter account always like shares about their point of view. You know, they take out the IFAB.
What does that stand for?
International Football Association Board. So that's the people that make the rules.
Okay.
Like, for example, VAR or whatever, so on and so forth, right? However, my question is, how do you guys deal with the emotional stress that comes with it? Because one thing I realized, that account, it got shut down. No, whoever is behind the account, you were doing a fantastic job, but I did notice a lot of people were scrutinizing the account because like it was like an us versus them sort of mentality.
It's like, why you say that you're not even a referee, is it?
No, I mean, like, because the account was anonymous.
Oh.
But however, the points that he or she was giving was directly from the IFAB.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, how do you guys deal with like people who like continuously like criticize decisions despite it's being part of the rules?
I mean, I'll let Alfie answer that question, but firstly, I'd like to add that's one of our sort of missions to sort of cut out that negativity and that negative sort of
Cynicism.
Yeah, and stigma associated with referees, because they're often viewed as, oh, you're just a referee, you know, like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, right, is that football is very tribal.
Yes.
So you will, if it doesn't matter how you justify something. Sometimes people just won't like it. People will just say that, you know, if there's a mistake, people will just say, well, it's not good enough, and that will be the only. And you can't really answer that back because you just have to say, no, it's not good enough. It's just about it's just about making it. Taking away the abusive side. That's what's really important, is that because criticism is fine. Everyone has the right to be criticised. If you're not good at your job and if you're being paid a lot of money to do your job, like particularly like in the Premier League, the referees they're being paid a lot of money, and if they are not doing their job correctly, then they are rightfully being criticised because people are paying a lot of money to go and watch the games and they expect a high standard. Fine. What then crosses the line is when it becomes abusive, and that's when it becomes unnecessary, because it's not incompetence, it's a mistake, and there needs to be a fine line between the two. in terms of how we deal with it when people talk to us, I mean, particularly on social media, you just ignore. You just ignore it.
You have to
because
ignore.
You just have to ignore it. On the pitch, it's slightly harder to ignore. You try to ignore it,
and then
but
deal with it as necessary.
Yeah, because there's a question because we do questions in our social media.
yeah.
So there's a question from Grizzly Adam. Basically, he asks, like, after the game, do you guys have any encountered with people like blackmailing or giving you calls, or because you give red cards or yellow cards?
I wouldn't say blackmailing or calls. Often there's
threaten, right?
often there's sort of like after the game, the manager will want to have a chat with you after the game, like in the changing room or something.
It's very rare in the UK now that you get threatened.
Yeah.
It does happen, but it's compared to maybe 5 or 10 years ago, it's really rare. But it's still, tempers are still very high. There's still, and obviously in the UK now, a lot of games are filmed. So particularly on social media after the games, things will come out. So that's one of the things that the FA have emphasised to us, is that the standard needs to go up now because everything's being filmed.
And then you're held accountable for it
because there's nowhere to hide.
Whilst during the game you might be able to say, no, that didn't happen. Half an hour after your game, an hour after your game, the day after your game, someone can send you the clip on Twitter or on Instagram, and there is no sort of...
nowhere to hide.
It is black or white.
Yeah.
You did get this wrong, you did get this right, you can't.
Thank you for the questions on the social media. And he adds one more question to this. Actually, what happens if a ref accidentally bumps into the ball during the match?
The players restarted with a drop ball to the team that was in possession, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And you can't... So
you stop the game,
does that happen all the time? Yeah. Or you just blow the whistle?
and then you pick the ball up, and then you give it back to whoever had it, and then you play on.
Yeah. So that's your questions
I mean,
answered.
often it's unavoidable, like even in the Premier League, sometimes you see,
Yeah.
there's a counter attack and the goalkeeper kicks it out,
Just gets
and
spanked.
then the referee just gets hit in the back by the ball.
It happens.
It happens. It bumps into players, it bumps into the referee as well.
There was a question. A friend of mine, Shami, asked this yesterday because after we played futsal, we hanged out, had some nice lemak, and I did say to the guys, hey, I'm meeting some referees tomorrow. And he actually noticed something interesting, and I think not many people realized it. And also, I did tweet it or even post it on my socials many years ago, because you have the pitch. Okay, you're facing the pitch, and you have the first linesman and you have the second linesman.
Yeah.
And then he noticed, and also I noticed back then, referees only goes on the diagonal, they run to a diagonal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? Is it
They
because
don't go to the side.
No. They don't go where the assistant referee is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So why? Is it a rule that was developed over the years, or like
It's not a rule.
Not a
It's
rule?
just
the protocol or
guidance.
guidance?
The theory behind it is
yes.
that the linesman has a flag, so the linesman can make a decision. So
in his respected area, which is that.
in theory, the referee doesn't need to get caught up in play because the linesman who's standing off the pitch and not involved in play has a flag and is able to communicate. On the other side, the referee needs to be closer because he might not be able to see. So that's why the diagonal exists, because it's essentially meant to be half an S. So you come round, you start on one corner of the box, and then you come all the way round to the top other corner of the box. And generally, you try and avoid running through the centre circle.
Okay.
This is actually my question. I personally want to ask. What is the duties of fourth official? Because referee, when a referee there's like few people, not just one person on the pitch that's wearing the same uniform.
Yeah.
Then linesman, there's two.
Correct.
So main referee in the center, two linesmen, and then sometimes they have even referees behind the goal, right?
Yeah.
And then now
With the pointy thing.
Then there's a fourth official who's the one holding the substitution signboard, right?
Correct.
And then there's also people inside. Now we have the video assistant referee people.
Yeah.
So VAR, and how many are there in the VAR room? And then So actually, how many referees are there? I know in a smaller game there's no VAR, but do you mind just sharing? Because we forgot to talk about that actually.
Sure. So at our level, we'll have 3 referees normally, one person in the middle and 2 assistants. No fourth official, no VAR.
Okay. So the main referee conducts make sure hold the whole game.
Yeah.
And then the linesman, the assistant referee, what's their role actually?
To indicate when the ball is in and out of play, whether that be on the touchline for throw-ins, goal kicks, then obviously offside.
Do they have influence to say to convince to overrule the main referee?
No,
not really. At the end of the day, the final decision is made by the referee in the middle.
Because like in games, we always see like the main referee goes to the assistant and like, you know, speak and all. So what do they do actually?
I mean, it's, as we were talking earlier about the positioning, often in those parts of the pitches where the assistant referee is, he'll have a better view.
Oh.
So sometimes it's necessary for that assistant to
give his opinion.
Share his view, share what he's seen with the referee. But at the end of the day, the referee will be the one that makes the final decision.
So, but the offside is more the linesman.
The offside is the
linesman.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have main referee, linesman, then fourth official. What is their role actually?
So their main role, probably not actually that well known. Their main role is to actually be the substitute referee. So if the referee comes off injured, the fourth official will take the.
Oh, substitute referee.
Yeah, but that's why. Because realistically, particularly in the Premier League, if the fourth official's job was to just kind of be a fourth official, they wouldn't get a Premier League level referee because it's not really needed. But because they are the substitute referee, it has to be a referee of the same standard.
Okay.
So, and then they manage substitutions, they manage the benches. They also, particularly in the World Cup and things like that, they have communication kits as well. So if they see something in front of them,
if a coach does something,
they're in the position to say, like, through the headset, listen, I've seen this has happened.
Yeah.
Or like if the ball has gone out in front of them and there's been a few touches, he'll be like he can help out, say, it's red throw in, blue throw in, etc., etc.
Okay, so then there's the fourth official, which is a substitute referee. So then now there's, I don't know if there is still now the referees that's behind the goal.
No, that's stopped now.
Oh, there's no more.
No.
Because there's VAR now.
VAR, goal line technology, all that sort of stuff.
Goal line technology. So. Okay, so that the referee that's standing behind the goal is actually, the role is to make sure to see if it's goal or not, and if penalty if the keeper is standing on the line, all that, right? So that role is no more. Then VAR. How many actually in a VAR?
If you guys know to know.
I mean, in the Premier League, there is normally 3 officials, I believe. So
in the room.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 officials. So the video assistant referee.
Yes.
Who is also a referee.
Yeah.
So for example, one week he might be
on the pitch.
One week he'll be on the pitch. Next week he'll be
in the room.
In the room as VAR. There'll be an assistant
for the VAR.
An assistant VAR, which is an assistant referee. So he's the one that
they draw the lines.
They don't draw the lines.
They don't draw the lines.
No. They do. They sort of take charge of any offside decisions because that's essentially what they're specialised in every week. They're doing the decisions, and in some competitions there's sort of like an assistant VAR, or like there's extra ones. But then in the way it works in the UK is Hawkeye, which is the company that provides all the technology for VAR. They have their sort of technicians, I guess. That they're the ones that draw the lines. They're the ones that sort of do all the tech behind the VAR. The actual officials are there just to make the decisions, basically, and communicate with the referees on the pitch.
All right. Okay, so that's all the roles of all the referees?
Yeah.
So, because we're talking about VAR and all that, we have a question from social media from Haziq Aiman. Just to say that he's a Spurs fan, so this is his questions from a Spurs fan. Of course, Spurs they don't they're very inconsistent of winning. So that's why this is the question. Why do Premier League referees have inconsistent decision even with assistance from VAR? In your point. Yeah, so thank you for the question from social media. Haziq Aiman.
Sorry, before you answer, will you get into trouble?
No.
No, okay.
Because they're different referees. And this is what people need to understand, is that what I see as a yellow card and what Romeo sees as a yellow card are different. Doesn't necessarily mean that
I'm wrong, he's right.
Yeah.
I'm wrong, I'm right, he's wrong.
That it's a lot of the time it's down to interpretation. So if I see a tackle, I might think that it's a foul. Romeo might not think that it's a foul. And the problem with that, if Romeo is my VAR, is that if I've given a penalty and Romeo looks at it and says there's no way that's a foul, and then the next week the roles are reversed and I say that is a foul and he says it's not, again, we both could technically be right to an extent because that's how football works. Things aren't black and white.
Okay.
That's why inconsistent decisions happen, is because you've got two different referees looking at the same thing and both referees have different tolerance levels. They both have seen the game in different ways. So, for example, I might be on the pitch and the game, there's nothing in the game, and then all of a sudden a really bad tackle comes in.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe if the game was a lot more heated and there were fights in the games and things like that, you'd then say it was a red card. But because the game's very, very quiet, you can get away with the yellow card. Again, that's the kind of thing that happens. So that's why inconsistency is a thing. And consistency in refereeing is never going to be achieved because the laws are not black and white. It's a contact sport, which means that everything's up to different opinion.
So just sort of to add to that final point there about the laws and the different opinions.
Because you do have the
IFAB. So
IFAB.
Yeah. But within that, the laws are down to interpretation to an extent, you know. Sort of side story, two weeks back I was at a refereeing camp and we were going through clips.
Yeah.
And whilst the sort of level of referees there was quite high, there's still 3-4 opinions on one clip. So that shows sort of how different opinions can be, even though it's the same clip.
Fair. Interesting. I mean, like, it's an interesting social media content that you guys can create.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's one of the series that we're going to be doing. We hope to like genuinely go out like onto the street, show someone a video clip of a controversial decision, and I can virtually guarantee in advance right now that if the clip is really controversial, it will be a maximum 60-40 split. Some people will say maybe red card, some people say yellow card, and it will be a narrow split. And then we're hoping that kind of content shows everybody that it doesn't matter like whether you have VAR, whether you don't have VAR. If 60% of people are saying one thing and then only 40% of people are saying another, clearly that's a lot of people that think different things.
Two different things. Because whilst there might be a preferred answer, sort of a preferred decision, that doesn't then rule out other decisions as wrong. You know, they're just...
And there's a saying in refereeing that's it's 5% about getting the decision right and 95% about convincing everyone that you've got the decision right.
5%?
5% is actually getting the decision right.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is about you managing to tell everyone that you've got it right.
Decision. Oh, okay. So that's the goal, the principle that you guys are holding.
You know, we call it selling the decision, making everybody buy what you've given. Okay, yeah, I believe that, you know.
Okay.
We still try to
get the right decision.
I'm having flashbacks to like the past referees I've interacted with. I was like, yeah, they're good salesmen as well.
Interestingly, I'm going into a sales job, so hopefully maybe I'll get better at selling my decisions as well.
There you go.
In all this, it looks like although that you guys seem to be very young to be a referee, and you've been 8 years as a referee, how long is actually the workshops or the certifications for you to be? Because like in Malaysia, what I know is for coaches they have grades. So if you're a grade A, that means you're the highest. But if you're at the grade C, you can only coach like this side, this league. So I'm sure it works the same way as for coaching.
Correct.
So for referee, do you have grades? Like I'm a grade A referee in the FA because you're already under the FA. Yeah.
So you qualify and once you qualify, you become a level 7.
Level 7. And how long does it take for you
3 days. 3 days to become a level 7.
Oh, right, yeah. The course is 3 days.
The course is 3 days.
And anyone can be a level 7 referee?
Yes.
If you've taken the course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then how do you work your way up to be first level?
So then there's a promotion scheme. So level 1 is the top.
Yes.
And then there is another level after level 1, but you need to be specifically selected by the
So
Premier
like
League.
Howard Webb is all level
So
1.
so it's the Premier League referees after level 1.
Okay.
So you then get selected by the Premier League's refereeing body to be a referee.
And then above that, there's FIFA list as well, which is all the referees that go into the World Cup, for example, that they're all FIFA referees.
So you enter in at level 7, and then every season you can apply for promotion, and you will get watched by an observer or an assessor or a coach.
They call it coaches now.
Yeah, you'll be watched twice, and then if you meet if they think you're good enough, then you'll go up to level 6, and then you'll essentially keep going. So Romeo's just got his level 6, and I'm now level 4.
Oh.
So level 4 is when you become
The under 18s.
an FA.
Oh, an FA.
An FA referee.
Okay. So how long does it take? Is it through the more games you referee, the more you go?
Yeah. So, for example, in England, you can go for promotion from 16. So I turned 16 last October.
Yeah.
So then I applied for promotion, and throughout the season I had to referee at least 15 youth games and
in a
10.
month?
No, throughout the season.
Okay, throughout the season.
And at least 10 men's games.
Okay.
And I had 3 observations, and then at the end of the season,
then they will decide if you got promoted or not.
Correct.
So how fast? Because you said you have been doing for 8 years.
Yeah.
And you're at level 4. So in order for you to go to level 3, 2, and 1, does it take another 8 years? Because
no. So I mean, the 8 years is obviously quite misleading because I couldn't get promoted until I was 16. So that takes 2 years off.
I see.
So then it's 6 years and 2 years of COVID. There was no promotions.
Okay.
So that takes. So I've basically done level 7 to level 4 in 4 years.
Oh.
Fair.
It's just my age has not helped me.
And the pandemic.
It take 4 years, maybe like to be.
So now we get. So now when you're level 4, you get graded every week. You get graded.
Okay.
And to now get promoted, you have to finish in the top 15% of referees nationally.
Okay.
So you now have to. So if I were to get promoted this season, I'd need to get a score that's in the top 15% of referees on my level in the country. So now it's really hard to get promoted.
Oh.
So to level 4, it's very easy. Now it's really difficult.
Because there's a lot of referees, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, in England, there's 38,000 registered referees.
38,000.
Yeah.
Tapi diorang
Do you know how many
country.
there are?
38,000.
Pardon?
Do you know how many level 4s there are?
We're in the top 5%. So if you do the
5%.
maths, so 300 divided by 100, that's 300 and
No. Oh, yeah.
380 times it by 5. So there's probably around 2,000 level 4s.
Okay.
Nice. Okay lah, like one of my friends. No, one of my friends. One of my friends did notice that like there's always when we go for like a social league, not social league. We went for like an amateur game, and then we saw someone like recording the assessor. Do you guys have assessors almost every game? Because like in Malaysia, I did notice with my friend as well, like there is always a referee assessor after the game. They discuss what your decisions.
So at our level, no. As I said, for example, last season I had 3 observations through. I did maybe 40, 50 games throughout the season. So no, but as you sort of get into Alfie's level and a little bit higher, there will be somebody watching you every single game.
Okay, we have another question from social media. Thank you for the question. It's from Nabil Jamsari. So he did ask like referees and all these rules. will keep changing. Like the recent Euro, the ball, the technology, if you can detect if there's a hand that touches the ball. So the system, the rules will keep changing and developing. From your personal point of view, what do you guys see and what do you guys want actually to change? Or it's like, done, enough, stop changing because there's too much. What do you see? Is it like a different card or,
It was very frustrating at the minute because with VAR, basically what I think is happening is that the IFAB, they're changing the rules of all of football to suit VAR.
Okay.
So particularly, there's a handball change this year. There's a change to the handball law.
Okay.
That for us as grassroots referees is going to be impossible to enforce. But with VAR, it's going to be very easy.
Okay.
So I think that the rules are changing because of VAR.
Okay.
Whereas 99% of football that's played globally doesn't have VAR. So I find it very frustrating because I think they should maybe now think about having a separate laws of the game for games that include VAR. Because now it's becoming really difficult because it's almost like the laws expect us to be able to watch what's happening again and make a decision based off that.
Okay. But so from your point of view, Alfie, is the change should have, well, there'll be changes, but you would love if there is a two separate rules.
I think so, because again, there's discussions about the offside rule and potentially making it so that the attacker can now basically be more than in line with the defender. So it means that he's got a bigger advantage, which is fine if you've got VAR.
Yeah.
But is really, really difficult if you don't.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think the law for VAR is fine, but at grassroots games, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So I actually think football's fine. I think football was fine a few years ago. I think that there's too many changes every year.
They keep changing.
It keeps changing, and nobody can keep up. Not the players, not the coaches, not the referees. Everything keeps changing. So if they want to keep changing the professional game to suit VAR, that's fine. But please don't make it about all football because football's a very simple game and it's becoming very complicated.
Yeah. Because like, how about you, Romeo? Because like, what I know is like, there will be discussions about adding a card. There's discussions, what colour? Blue. Yeah. It's not, it doesn't have yet, right? But there is some in different other sports, they already have that. Yeah, so what do you personally feel like? Because the changes keep on happening. So for you, what changes that you would love?
I mean, I don't think there's anything in particular that I'm like, I can't wait for this to be added to football. But I think inevitably with sort of how we're living in sort of the modern day, that there is going to be advances in technology, like advances in everything. I think there will be more technology brought into football, sort of cameras on every single line. So it's clearly we can see, so sort of like goal line technology, but on every line, to see whether the keeper's come off his line on a penalty, to see whether the ball has gone out for a goal kick, to see whether the ball is in or outside the penalty area, for example, or in and out, or the touch line to see if it's a throw. And I think that those are sort of the things that we're going to start seeing. But to answer your question, I don't think there's anything in particular that I want to see. I think as long as it's for the better of the game, for the greater good of the game.
But do you think, for both of you, do you think the same question is from Nabil Jamsari? He says that the referee rules are changing, basically more in Premier League and in the UK. Do you think it will be influenced throughout the globally football?
Yes, because quite often with football, England is now the pioneer.
Yeah.
So England will do something and then everyone else will generally follow. That's the position that the Premier League has put itself in. It's essentially the world leader of football. So everyone wants to be the Premier League.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to copy what they're doing. So I think the influence of Saudi Arabia can't be underestimated, because I think they will make all the changes that the Premier League make to try and make that league more appealing. and I think then everyone will have to follow suit just to kind of stay with it.
Yeah, like just to share with you guys on camera. So our Malaysian Super League, we already implemented VAR. However, there are some games where they do show on the screen VAR not available. not even joking. Yeah.
So basically, they implement VAR in our local league, the top local leagues. But the reason
I'm gonna get so much stick from this, I don't mind.
So why dah tak ada?
Because there are some stadiums or some like I don't know, like power shortage or whatever this and that. I don't know.
But is it really unavailable, or do they make it unavailable?
That's up to your interpretation. You could be right, I could be wrong. I could be right, you could be wrong. But there were some games where they actually showed on the screen like VAR disabled. There's no VAR in this game or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. If that were to happen in the Premier League, it's gonna be a disaster, right?
Yeah. I think they'd have to
abandon,
wouldn't they? I don't think they'd play because
there have been sort of past incidents where VAR isn't working and they have had to sort of stop the game. And
because if we want to speak about referee and rules and decision, there'll be so much to talk about actually.
Of course.
Because like it's a very subjective.
Correct.
Yeah, because we will keep asking, because if it's not me or Carl sitting here, if someone else, even if Haziq from the social media is here, and he will ask a lot about things, because like there's so much things happening in every single game. Yeah. So like, and like I do have like a friend of mine who went to the UK to watch a game at Old Trafford, and then they couldn't see because there's no screen about the VAR. It's just VAR.
No. So there's two stadiums in the UK that don't have a screen.
Yeah.
And it's Manchester United and Liverpool.
Yeah.
And they're the only two stadiums in the UK that don't have a screen.
Yeah.
So you just have to listen.
Yeah. In the 70,000.
Yeah, 70,000, 60,000, no screens.
Yeah, so that's
crazy.
why they were like, because like my friend has been to watch a game in like even in Fulham.
Yeah. And they have screens.
They have screens.
Yes.
And then he went to watch in Old Trafford.
And no screens.
And they're like, what's going on? Yeah. So are they
VAR
trying
unavailable.
to make it work?
Yeah, so with Manchester United and Liverpool, they just have to make a stadium announcement over the tannoys. They'll be like, VAR check in progress.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
whereas obviously on the other screens, they get the whole fancy purple
Premier League.
Premier League branding.
Penalty, possible penalty.
All right. Is there anything more about RefPro that you want to share besides like you're doing a very good thing, which is going into social media and all. Yeah. So is there anything you want to share for RefPro, and where do you see RefPro growing?
I think what we want to do is, particularly now that we've kind of put ourselves on the map with Football Starts with Hope.
Yes.
We want to now start going to FAs and we want to get their referees. For example, we would like to potentially work, for example, with the Malaysian FA.
Yeah.
And we would like to try and get one of their referees to the World Cup in 2034. That's the kind of level that we want to be.
We had before, right, Carl? A referee in the World Cup. South
It's the
America.
fourth official.
official. Yeah.
So that's what we're now going to be focusing on. Is we're going to go to countries that have perhaps the economy and the potential to have the elite referees.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to go there and provide that training, and we want to provide a program that means they're going to be able to reach international standard.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. Can keep doing it. We from Better Call Sukan hope that your RefPro, what you guys want to do, will grow bigger and better and achieve what you guys want to achieve.
Yeah, but I do have a few. Just one more question on my end.
For RefPro?
Yeah, for refereeing in general and so on. So when I was in New York watching the New York Red Bulls for 2 games, and I did notice that how they use the talent. That technology was really good. Like for example, whenever a player has been yellow carded, they actually relate to the information to the announcer saying player number whatever it's being whatever. And recently there was that interesting decision against between Sporting Kansas and Real Salt Lake, where the referee announced it the fans. So should that be the norm going forward? Like referees being accountable,
right?
I think so.
I think it's happening in the Premier League this season.
It's going to be.
We saw it in the World Cup in Qatar as well.
Yeah.
After VAR decisions, the referee would then explain why, or like the decision that they're giving. So there's sort of a little bit more clarity on the decision. But I think it's good because
it just adds that human element.
Yeah.
Fans then sort of have, okay, that's what he's given. We now sort of understand it a little bit more.
Yeah, because like there's also the talk actually adding to that. Like people say after a match in the Premier League, there's like you interview the player, you interview the manager. Why you don't you interview the referee? Yeah, is there a reason actually why?
It's not smart. We're not the society's not at a level to hear what a referee has to say after a game. There's too many heightened tensions. That wouldn't be good for the game, because as much as everyone wants it and as much as fans pretend to be rational,
I'm sure people are asking for it, right?
Yeah, but football is too tribal for that. It's not. We're not ready for that yet, I don't think.
I see.
But explaining a decision with clarity on the pitch would be the best.
Which is it's helpful.
Cool.
But I think the last thing that people want after a team has potentially lost a game due to their last decision is like seeing Anthony Taylor come out in a post-match interview and like just try it. I just don't think it would work.
Oh, okay, because like because I do hear people will
but sorry,
say that.
but he will be a good salesperson.
Yes. And that's what would really wind people up. Is that he would be
Okay, actually, to anyone who's listening to this, doesn't matter where they are, maybe in their head, it's like, besides being a football player, an athlete, being a referee is also a way, an option. And it's actually really interesting to learn and to change, to make like, because you are not the dictator of the game, but you control the game. Yeah. Guidance to the game. So maybe as a kid, or someone who wants to be that, but they don't have the motivation to do that, and you guys have been doing it, do you have anything to say to people out there? Like, okay, actually referee is not a loser job. You know, it's like, it's really a cool thing. Yeah.
How do you inspire incoming
them?
generations?
To people out there listening.
I mean, for me, I think it's definitely a motivation, especially seeing my brother get into the professional game. I also want to pursue that. No, I mean, now I'm not going to become a professional footballer, but if you do want to get into the professional game, refereeing is definitely an avenue that is growing and a great avenue to get into the professional game. I think that can be used as motivation. It's definitely one of the things that motivates me. You know, I think it would be great to see. I mean, I won't be watching myself, but for people to be able to see me on TV one day in charge of in charge of a big game, two big teams in England, or maybe even a European or World Cup competition.
How about you? How do you say to the people out there?
And the thing about refereeing is that you learn a lot of people skills. You learn how to deal with people. You learn how to manage stress. It provides some really, really credible life characteristics. I think that's kind of one thing that's perhaps a little bit underrated about it. It can be rewarding. It can be a nightmare, but it's good, and it's good to get involved with, and it's only going to grow. And it's probably a good time for anyone, anywhere, to get into refereeing, because the money going into it is getting bigger as well.
Yeah. So, if anybody has any questions,
at
RefPro
UK
on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think the kids from yesterday, just to go for everyone's context, I say I took them to a futsal clinic yesterday, and after you guys left, actually I got a lot of texts from the community, like, oh my god, like the referee is like, some of the kids are like, oh, I want to be a referee after meeting them. So